So the last lesson we talked about balance. What happens if you lose your balance? Are you going for a swim? Well, I sure hope not. If you learn your brace strokes, you're going to keep yourself safe and sound. So let's talk about bracing. So two main types of brace strokes. There's a low brace where the paddle shaft is below you and you're pushing on the paddle shaft, and a high brace where the paddle shaft is above you and you're hanging on the paddle shaft. Your bread and butter, 95% of the time, is your low brace. So we're mostly going to talk about a low brace today. So there's three types of brace strokes. The most important one, the most critical one, is when you lose your balance. Take the flat of the back of your paddle and slap that water and push yourself upright. I call that a slap brace. Really important trick for a slap brace is to make sure you've got the flat of the blade ready to go to hit that water. If instead you hit the water with the edge of the blade, it's going to slice right in and you're going to go in right after it. This is one of the reasons I like to paddle with an oval shaft, is because I can tell from the feel of the shaft where the flat of the blade is, so I don't get lost when I need to hit that flat of the blade really fast in a slap brace. So a slap brace is great for when you lean over and you need to get yourself back upright. The problem is you can't just continue to lean on that blade or it's going to sink down into the water. There's no stability then. So your second type of brace, brace number 2, is a sculling brace. You get a sculling brace going and you can just lay out on that thing and it provides you a lot of stability. So the trick to a sculling brace is skating the blade across the surface of the water. The movement creates pressure that you can lean on. But to keep it on top of the water, you can see I've got to roll my hand on the shaft to keep the leading edge of the blade on top of the water. We call this spreading the icing. It's just like putting icing on a cake. If you don't keep the leading edge of the knife up, it's going to dive down into the cake and ruin your cake. Same thing in the water. It's going to dive down and you're going to lose all that stability and you're going to go in right after it. So you got to keep the leading edge of the blade up so that the paddle stays on top of the water. That's a sculling brace. So in a sculling brace, you're getting support from your blade because you're pushing that blade across the water and keeping it on top. Now if your boat's already moving, you can get that same pressure just placing your paddle on top of the water, and that leads to our third brace, the moving brace, a really valuable stroke. So in a moving brace, the boat movement is what's going to provide the pressure of your blade on the water. As the boat's moving, you just slap your paddle down on top, and you can lean against it as your boat slows down, gives you a little time to pull your body upright and get balanced back in the boat again. So two things happen when you put in a moving brace that are really handy. When you put the paddle in the water, the boat slows down, and two, it steers over to that side. Those things are really handy to make you look like a pro when you're coming home to the shore or the dock. Let me show you. So a moving brace is actually a steering stroke. It's really handy when you're coming into the dock, your boat's moving, angle the boat towards the dock a little bit as you get close. Stop your last stroke, just do a brace, moving brace, slows me down and kisses me right up against the dock, and I look like a pro. Now there's a couple instances where a high brace is handy. Say you're up against a high dock, get your paddle up high, there's your high brace. High brace is also handy if you lose your balance while you're paddling and your hands are up in the air. You can do the same thing, slap, and that keeps you upright. And then imagine, if you will, we're in big roiling white water or we're out in the surf playing in the break and a big wave comes. A high brace keeps my paddle up above that wave just like it did on that dock. And so a lot of whitewater paddlers and a lot of sea kayakers are going to use a high brace when they're in waves. You know, for us going out and paddling recreationally, you're not going to use it as much, and that low brace is going to be the thing. Okay, let's do a quick recap on low braces. The first one is you lose your balance, you're going over. Get the flat of your paddle and slap that water. pull yourself upright and get balanced again. That's the slap brace. Brace number 2, you're out in all this rough rolling water and you need a kickstand just to keep you upright. A sculling brace is something you can really lean on and give yourself some stability out there. And lastly, your boat's moving along, you can just drop your paddle in the water and lean on it with the pressure of the boat speed, and that'll help pull you back upright. Also, angles the boat over, slows it down, great for docking. So with these brace strokes, I want you to stay safe and dry out there, and I'll see you out in the water.